happen when you are in normal state, you can think properly, you see that this marriage cannot continue anymore, then divorce can take place if you want to divorce. Right? Now, as how we have mentioned, when the lady is pure, but you have consumed her, it is not allowed for you to divorce her. Now, when her haid comes, you are still not allowed to divorce her. You are only allowed to divorce her when she is pure and you have not consumed her. Okay? This is where the divorce is allowed. Divorce here is not allowed. But what if it happens? If the husband divorced the wife here or here, the divorce will happen, but the husband will get sin because of what he has done. It's haram. But if he does it, divorce will take place, and it happens. Okay? Now, here, you're still not allowed to divorce when she is in a pure state, when you have not consumed her at all, or when the wife is not consumed, then you are allowed to divorce her. Here. Amen. Then only divorce is allowed. Okay. When the divorce happened here, we mentioned that she has her 3 menstrual cycle for her iddah. She has 3 menstrual cycle for her iddah. How do you calculate the menstrual cycle? At the beginning of the cycle or at the end of the cycle? In Madhab Shafi'i, this is how we calculate. When divorce happens, now her first cycle will be calculated at the first day when she gets her haid. Okay, let me make it clear again. Let me repeat again. Her cycle begins when, now when she's pure. In Madhab Shafi'i, it's 3 pure cycle. So when her first pure period has ended, which means she has get her first menstrual cycle after divorce, she has completed 1 cycle. Okay? When her first pure period has ended and she has begun her first menstrual after the pure period, that means she has completed 1 cycle. As how we have mentioned, 3 pure cycle. When we mention 3 menstrual cycle means 3 pure cycle, which means 1 cycle has completed. This is the first cycle. First cycle completed. As soon as she gets her first menstruation, and then the second cycle continues, and the second cycle completes when she gets her second menstrual cycle. And her third cycle for her iddah completes when she completes her third pure cycle. Is it clear? Is that clear? Is that clear? Is it very clear for the ladies especially? So now you know how to calculate your iddah. When you have when you have complete 1 pure cycle, 2 pure cycle, the third pure cycle, as soon as the third pure cycle is completed, you have completed your iddah. What if the husband divorced the wife here? when she has consumed her in her pure period. And then the cycle will begin here. If she's not pregnant, if she's pregnant, then her iddah finishes when she gives birth. Simple as that. Regardless if she gives birth tomorrow, the next day, or she gives birth after an hour, the iddah ends as soon as she gives birth. So, after she has completed her iddah, as soon as she has gotten her third menstruation cycle, she has completed her iddah and she can get married to a new man if she wants. Tamam. And if there is any ruju', if the husband divorced the wife as talaq raj'i, the husband will mention to the wife, I divorce you talaq raj'i. Therefore, she will go through her iddah. At any point of time before she completed her third cycle, if the husband do the ruju', she goes back to the husband. That means she is the husband's wife. Right? And there is no condition for ruju'. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, وَبُعُولَتُهُنَّ أَحَقُّ بِرَبِّهِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ. And their husbands have the rights over them if the husbands do ruju'. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in the hadith, ثَلَاثَةٌ نَجِدُّهُ النَّجِدُ وَهَزَلَهُ النَّجِدُ An-Nikah وَالطَّلَاقُ وَالرَّجْعُ. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned three things. When you take it seriously, it's serious. And even when you do it jokingly, it is serious. An-Nikah, number one nikah. When you get married to someone, some wali marry his daughter to someone else, and then he said, no, I'm just joking. There's no joke in nikah. There is no joke in nikah. The marriage happens, the nikah happens, khalas. You have no other choice. She's my wife. Right? And number two is at-talaq. Oh, my wife, I've divorced you. No, I'm just joking. Mafi, there is no jokes in divorce. Now that's how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to take care of our tongue. And raj'ah, you said, I've done ruju' to my wife. And then he said, no, I wasn't serious when I did ruju'. Yeah, maybe you don't have ruju'. When it comes to these three things, tamam, regardless whether you do it intentionally or unintentionally, the thing happens. It happens. Regardless whether you do it intentionally or unintentionally, as long as you don't do it when you are in unsound mind. As long as you are aware of what you're doing, you are doing it seriously and it happens. Okay? And there's a big hikmah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give three menstrual cycle, three pure cycle from menstruation for those who did talaq al-raj'i. Because why? Sometimes the husband will start to think, actually I like my wife, maybe just because of some small thing I divorced her. Maybe the wife would also think that, yeah, I want to go back to my husband during that period. This is the iddah for the ladies. This is the iddah for the ladies. Right? Now if she is pregnant, are you allowed to divorce her? You are not allowed to divorce her until she has completed her pregnancy. Why? Subhanallah. Look how detailed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the religion. Because now you think she's pregnant and you don't really care about her, it's her child. But when she has given birth, then you will start to think, oh, this is my child. Then all the thoughts to take care of the child comes. My child, he or she needs a father. And then maybe the wife will also think, come on, forget it. What has passed has passed. Let's come back together and think for the future of our child. Just as soon as you have the child. That is why it is very important to obey the Sharia. But now what if the divorce has happened during the time when you are not allowed to carry out the divorce? Now you have done the divorce and you have said that I have divorced you or my wife with one talaq raj'i. An example. Tamam. The only time when divorce doesn't take place is when teachers are teaching people. This is very clear in Sharia. Doesn't happen. Otherwise, then all the ulama, they have divorced their wife just while teaching. Because what? You have to show example. You have to mention the correct way to divorce to people, so that they can obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they will fear Allah to divorce their wife properly. That's the only time when divorce doesn't happen, even as long as you don't mean it. But if you mean it, it still happens. While you're in class, you're teaching, you say, no, I'm just giving an example. But if you mean it, it happens. If you don't mean it, it doesn't happen. But now what if the husband divorced the wife during the time when he is not allowed to divorce? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us, when Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, when he divorced his wife while she was having her menstrual cycle. Some of the scholars said that he divorced his wife when she was having her menstrual cycle. Some of the scholars mentioned that he divorced his wife when she is pure, but he has consumed her. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told her to do rujuk her back. When she has completed her menstrual cycle, then if he wants, he divorces her, or if he wants, he holds her as his wife. That is very important. So if you divorce your wife during the time when you're not supposed to divorce, it is sunnah for you to, number one, you should do tawbah, because you have gone against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's law. Number two, you do rujuk. And then number three, you wait after she has completed one menstrual cycle, then you decide whether you still want her or you still want to divorce her. Tamam, Rabbi firli wa tub alayya innaka antat tawwabur rahim. And we have to remember, when it comes to talaq raj'i, there is no condition if the husband wants to rujuk the wife. This is something we don't like to mention, but we have to mention because of amana of knowledge. Okay. Wallahu alam, how some of the mahkamah syariah rules, but from what I heard personally, from those people who are involved in the mahkamah syariah in Singapore, they said that the rujuk is not considered as rujuk if you don't consume her. Now an example, a husband divorced a wife with one talaq raj'i. And then during the iddah, the husband said, I rujuk my wife to my nikah, and she is my wife. From what I heard personally from those who are involved in the mahkamah syariah, it is not considered as rujuk as long there's no, this is the word he used, there is no intimacy after the rujuk. Now let me ask you one thing. Is it allowed for you to have intimacy with someone who's not your wife? You said there's no rujuk as long intimacy doesn't happen. Okay, now you said there's no rujuk, right? When there's no rujuk means she's not your wife. But is it allowed for you to consume her when she's not your wife? This is something very wrong in Sharia, and it's against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran. وَبُعُولَتُهُنَّ أَحَقُّ بِرَدِّهِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ. And the husbands have the rights when he does rujuk to the wife if he wishes so. Then you say the men will oppress the ladies. Come on. Men won't waste time to wait. If they don't want a lady, they will immediately divorce her. They won't waste time. Or there's a way to do it. If you don't want rujuk to happen, then you go to khulu'. Khulu' is a divorce that will happen with exchange of wealth. When khulu happens, she has to go through her iddah, but there is no rujuk. That means the husband say, I rujuk you to my nikah. Rujuk. Even he said 100 times of rujuk, there is no rujuk. There are many ways to do it properly. We shouldn't change the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this has been explained many times by our scholars. And one of our greatest scholars is Sheikh Umar bin Abdullah Al-Khatib. He has been explaining this so many times, and he has been trying to tell those people who are involved in the court to change. This is not right. This is against the Sharia. But they are carried with their own ways. So we have a good question. Tamam. We have a good question last week. It's very logical. Tamam. But let's look back at what will happen. Tamam. The question was, Ustad was explaining the prenuptial. How do you say? Prenuptial. In the clause, the ta'liq, expounded that the scholars are firm against it. Tamam. From what I understand in the local Singapore context, the ta'liq had been offered to couples in general to protect the rights of the woman. The clause states that if the husband is guilty of the stated conditions and the wife seeks the court's help due to the harm or lack of fulfillment of duty by the husband, and if the conditions are met while wife has been dutiful in the marriage, then the court can take action. Thus the talaq doesn't immediately take effect unless the above three conditions are fulfilled. This was implemented due to cases of men who marry women then leave them gantung tak bertali, leave her hanging. Okay. Husbands run away to a foreign country and being completely uncontactable. Then the wife couldn't divorce, nor can she remarry. Thus, this gives the wife and court to intervene and resolve such dilemmas. Each couple is also given the choice to accept or reject the inclusion of the ta'liq for their nikah. So it is not something forced upon the couple. So why is the ta'liq not recommended by scholars? What's the deeper concern with the ta'liq? Now, after all this ta'liq has been done, an example, after all the ta'liq has been done by the husband, the nikah, okay, mashallah. By just giving the wife one divorce, all the ta'liq will be gone. And then if he rujuk to his wife, what will happen? That means he is in a marriage with his wife without ta'liq. Now do you see the use of ta'liq? If he wants to fool around with what has been created by the whoever it is, tamam. It is simple. He just have to divorce his wife once. He doesn't even have to inform the wife if he wants. He'd say, I divorce my wife, I rujuk my wife. Done. All the ta'liq has gone into the drain. There's no more ta'liq. Because why? Because now he is in a new, so-called like a new contract with the wife. So now, is there any reason for you to do the ta'liq anymore? All the ta'liq will be wasted. Number two, we look at the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Did he teach any of his Sahaba to do ta'liq after getting married? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't teach any of the Sahaba to do ta'liq after marriage. Number three, it is mentioned that as if there is no way out, there's no way to solve the problem of the husband and wife, which is not true, because Sharia is very wide. Of course, for those people who don't know, they think there is no way out. But if you learn Bab al-Qada, you learn how to be a judge. There's always a way to do it. Provided you obey Allah's religion and you obey Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which has been narrated in the hadith. And then, furthermore, most marriage, most divorce happen not because of maybe the husband doesn't provide the wife or this or that. Most divorce happen because of other things, because of third party involved, because of other problems.
Tamam. And then each couple is also given a choice to accept or reject the inclusion of ta'liq. Allahu a'lam. I don't know if there's a choice or there is no choice. Tamam. We have to ask and find out whether it is a choice or not a choice. Tamam. Rabbil firli wa tub alayya innaka antat tawwabur rahim. The most important is that we don't do things just to waste time for no reason. Especially if the husband, mashallah, maybe many people, tamam, they don't know about this. But now, mashallah, all of you are tullab al-ilm, you are searching, you are looking for, you are searching knowledge, and you learn about all this. As how we have mentioned, if there's a ta'liq happen in a marriage, ta'liq al-talaq, the clause of divorce, happen in a marriage, that ta'liq will be nullified as soon as you divorce her. Even, and then you ruju' her. This is good for those people who, an example, sometimes out of anger, maybe the husband. Oh, what else? Who else divorced? The husband. Maybe he said to the wife that if you go out from this house, if you ever go out from this house again, you will be divorced. Otherwise, the wife cannot go out of the house. It's not easy. And then what will happen if she goes out from the house? She's divorced. So she cannot go out of the house. So what can happen? The husband just divorce her and then rujuk her back immediately to his marriage to solve the problem. Because then he find himself in a problematic situation. Oh my God, what I've done. I've said such thing which is very dangerous, which doesn't make sense. Because I was angry. And this is what I personally experienced when I was in the I was in Tarim. I was honored to get involved, just to see and learn how the muftis give fatwa for people. Most questions got to do with divorce. Most questions, 50% of the question got to do with divorce. Another 50% is on all other matters. 50% only on divorce. So we have to be very careful in this matter. طيب. رب اغفر لي وتب علي إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. So the wife shouldn't be worried if Sharia don't give way out for the wife to save herself out of difficult situations or whatever it is. There is always way out if the husband is guilty. There is no need for ta'liq. When you try to do ta'liq, you are as if trying to say that the Sharia has not been completed. When it comes to the dealing of husband and wife, so we have to do the ta'liq to complete. When there is no need to do ta'liq. Wallahu alam, if you are getting married in the future, if you're going to do ta'liq or not, I leave it on you. But what I'm going to say is that there is no purpose of doing ta'liq. If the husband gone missing, what can happen? She has to report to the police, and she can. This is formality. You report to the police, and then you bring to the court, and then the court will decide whether he is missing, whether he is dead or not dead. If he is declared dead by the judge, then as soon as he is declared dead, she is considered divorced from him. She finishes her 3 cycle of iddah, and then she can get married to another man. But if he comes back, then she's her wife, the first marriage. It happens sometimes. Because sometimes husbands, they fall in a situation where they don't want to fall in. Maybe they go somewhere, then they're kidnapped. They love their wife, they love their children. He's a very nice man. But he was kidnapped. Or sometimes he gone missing because of whatever it is. After a few years, maybe 5-6 years, then he has been declared dead and everything. Then he comes back to then he found his family. He came back. Oh, mashallah, I came back. What? My wife got married to another man? Halas, tamam. The marriage is not considered as haram, as how we have mentioned. Those are the kind of marriage which is considered as shubhah. It is not considered as haram. And we don't say as halal as well. Because why? Because now he is actually alive. He was not dead yet. So he is the husband. Rabbil firli wa tub alayya إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. طيب, there's another question about father bapak susuan, which means apa? A girl was breastfed when young by other than her own mother. Right. So now it's as if she has two families. Tamam. One, her original family, the other one from the susuan side, where she was breastfed. Now she wants to get married, but her father, grandfather, brother are not alive. Is the father from the susuan family, the one that breastfed her, able to become the wali? Similarly, in another case, the girl's mother is the one who breastfed her to another boy. Does this boy have any chance of becoming a wali for her girl? For the girl, there is no guardianship by just being breastfed. So the guardianship will be written, number one, to all the hierarchy level which we have discussed of guardianship. And then if there is no guardian at all, it will go to the ruler. And ruler will, normally rulers, they give authority to the judges to carry out nikah. So the judges then will appoint Na'ib Qadi, the representative of the judge, to carry out the marriage contract. And it is not difficult. When it comes to Sharia, it is not difficult to find solution. The only reason why we think it is difficult because of our ignorance, because we don't know. And then we tend to say that Islam oppress ladies, oppress women, there need to be women's charter in Islam. Tamam. All these kind of words, think back before you say such thing. Because why? You are as if you are saying that the religion that was sent to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not complete. So we have to be very aware and careful with the words we utter from our mouth. Rabbighfirli wa tub alayya innaka antat tawwabur rahim. Now, going to the discussion of ruling for when the guardians of nikah are the same. Okay, we have done this. Conditions of the guardian. Wali. The conditions of the guardian are: the guardian is a Muslim. The guardian is a Muslim, so he has to be a Muslim. If he is not a Muslim, then it will be transferred to another person. And then the discussions will come later in the future, whether the guardianship will be transferred to someone who's further in the hierarchy level, or the guardianship will be transferred to the ruler. Sometimes guardianship of marriage will be transferred to someone who is further in the hierarchy level. Sometimes the guardianship will be transferred to the ruler. Immediately to the ruler, without looking at the second level from the second person from the hierarchy level. The guardian is a Muslim. This is the first condition. If the prospective bride is a Muslimah, if she is a Muslimah, if she is not a Muslim, she is a Christian maybe, then her father is a Jew, then all religion other than Islam is considered as one. There are some also other opinions of scholars saying that Christians can only marry Christians, can marry Christians off, and Jews can only marry Jews off. But we as Madhab Shafi'i, Islam is one religion, and other than Islam is another religion. Tamam. If the prospective bride is a Muslimah, number two, he has reached his puberty. He has to be a person who is baligh. If he is not baligh, he is not entitled to be the guardian for the prospective bride. Those people who are not baligh, as how we have mentioned, those people who has not reached their puberty, they are not even entitled to deal with their own wealth. Which means if they want to buy and they want to sell, it has to come from the parents' dealings, not from their own dealings. What else about guardianship of marriage? It is something which is greater than managing wealth. It is managing people. But he has reached puberty. What about she? If she has reached puberty, can she be the guardian for marriage? Why? He said she. So it's only man. Man is only man allowed to be the guardian for marriage. Number 3, has sound intellectual faculties, which means he's aqil, he's able to think. He's in a normal state of mind. He is in a normal state of mind. It means he is not insane. He is not someone who basically he's not in a state of insanity. Okay. Number 4, he's free, he's hur. He's not a slave. Someone who is not barred from managing one's wealth, including his, and is upright. Okay. Number 4, he is Rashid. Someone who is not barred from managing one's wealth, including his. In Sharia, there is such thing as some safi, or muflis, or whatever it is, maybe bankrupts. For people who has faced bankruptcies, tamam. Bankrupt. Bankrupt is something else, but there are categories in Sharia where you are barred by the government from dealing with wealth. An example, people who likes to waste money. People who likes to waste money, he takes his money, maybe he's too rich, maybe he's a billionaire. He take one stack of $50, maybe $10,000. He go to the sea, he says, "Faddal, fish, have this money. Come on, go shopping in the sea." Maybe those people who spend their money unwisely. They buy too many same things for no reason. Maybe Allahu A'lam, there are ways described by the Sharia when the person is considered a safi, means he likes to waste. Even though if he's a rich man, the Sharia will bar him he will be barred from dealing with his own wealth. Why? Because Sharia protects wealth. Even though you are rich, even though you're a billionaire, whatever it is, you still need to deal with your wealth wisely. What about giving sadaqah? I have $1 billion, 1 billion. Suddenly the next day I decide to give all my $1 billion for sadaqah. Is it considered as wastage? No, it is not considered as wastage when it comes to sadaqah. Basically, what we can say is that for those people who they mismanage their wealth, and sometimes you can also be barred from managing your wealth when you are a bankrupt. When we look back at a lot of the rules or law of what we call it the civil law, many of those laws are actually taken from the Sharia. Otherwise, how could people ever come and think and understand there is such thing as such law? So Sharia normally they will bar people from dealing with wealth until they can pay their debts. Because why? Sometimes people when they go through bankruptcies, it is not because of they cheat people's wealth, or it is not because they trade, but because sometimes they are just honest, but sometimes business fall. And normally honest people, they dare to take bigger amount of money, thinking that he or she can help himself out from that difficult situation. But again, he will face difficulties, and then he will take or she will take more and more money. So Sharia will always control such people from dealing with wealth and taking more money. So for bankrupts, they are not allowed to deal with any money until they have paid all their debts. And then they call it mahjur alayh in Sharia. Mahjur alayh means someone has been barred from dealing with wealth until they have the hajar, the bar, he has been removed from that situation. He has paid all his debts. Then only he is allowed to deal with wealth after that. Or sometimes children, they are also not Rashid. Children, as long they are not baligh, when we mention children, means those children who has not reached their puberty. Anyone after puberty is considered as adult. No more children. No, he's not a child anymore. So children before their puberty, they are not Rashid. They couldn't manage their wealth properly. Even though if they can manage their wealth properly, the Sharia considers them as a person who is not able to manage their wealth properly, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, وَابْتَلُوا الْيَتَامَى حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغُوا النِّكَاحِ. You should try, or you should try, what they call it? Uji. What is English? Uji in English? Test. You should test the orphans when they have reached the age which they are able to get married. The age when they are able to get married is when they are baligh. فَإِنْ آنَسْتُمْ مِنْهُمْ رُشْدًا فَادْفَعُوا إِلَيْهِمْ أَمْوَالَهُمْ. When you see that they have reached rushd, means they are able to deal with wealth, then give them their wealth. That is the state of most people when they have reached puberty. Normally they can manage their own wealth. And anyone who, when he is unable to manage his wealth even after baligh, then he will be given another baligh from the government. So the government will bar him again from dealing with his wealth. Tamam. And the person has to be upright, adl. Tamam. The footnote here put that just is an attribute a person has, he is not a fasiq. Right. How do you determine if the person is adil or if he's not adil, if he's upright or he's not upright? There are few things that we can consider whether he's upright or he's not upright. Number one, to look at his state, his situation. Whether he's a person who do more, he is more obedient to Allah, or if he is more disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If his obedience exceeds his disobedience, he will be considered as a person who is not fasiq, which means he is an upright person. He is adil. That is the first thing we should look at. Number two, he does not do any big sins. Maybe drinks, maybe zina, na'udhu billah min dhalik, maybe he gambles. These are all big sins. It is very difficult for people to fall into big sins unless he intentionally do it. And anyone who does big sins intentionally, he will not be considered as adl. He is a fasiq. He is a corrupt. He's a Muslim, but he is a corrupt. Number three, we look if he continuously do that small sins or not. Maybe he doesn't do big sin. Maybe he's always in a state of obedience, but he always do certain kind of small sin. An example, he likes to backbite. He go to everyone, he backbites. Fulan backbite. All the time he backbites. Then he will not be considered as adil anymore. He is considered as fasiq. Tamam. Rabbil firli wa tub alayya innaka anta tawwabur rahim. Right, what about now? Nowadays, mashallah. If we would go according to what our scholars have mentioned, then most people nowadays are fasiqin. But that is why in khutbah An-Nikah it is encouraged for us to do istighfar. And there's a particular khutbah which has been done by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is we are taught to do such khutbah every time we do nikah. Now the text of the khutbah come from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, which is not much used here in Singapore, except maybe in the wedding of some Arab families, they will use those text, the khutbah. Tamam. Number one, we should try our best to recite the khutbah An-Nikah, which has been recited by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We can request the Naib Qadi to do so. If he doesn't know, then you give him the text of the khutbah and then tell him this is the text of the khutbah. You should do it because this is sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you want to do khutbah in English after that or in Malay, please do so. I'm not stopping you from doing it, but at least do the text of khutbah which has been done by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Number two, you call people to do istighfar after the khutbah. Tell people to do tawbah. tell them that if in Hadramaut, our scholars will say, I do tawbah from anything which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited me. I do tawbah from leaving salah. I do tawbah from leaving zakah. I do tawbah from whatever which is haram. Immediately at that point, to make sure that the marriage is valid. Because why? Number one, the wali has to be adl. Then the two witnesses has to be adl. Because if any one of these not adl, then the marriage contract it will not be considered as valid. That is why it is very good for us to always call people to do tawbah before we do the marriage contract. Tamam. Rabbighfirli wa tub alayya innaka antat tawwabur rahim. When one or more of the conditions are not fulfilled, then the person has no right to be a guardian, and the guardianship is transferred to the next family member in the order of lawful guardians, which is a guardian whose hierarchical level is lower than him. If there is no other guardian in the same hierarchical level as him, now an example, he gets his brother to marry her off with someone, but that brother is fasiq. So the guardianship will be transferred to someone at his level, which means another brother. But if there is no other brother, then the guardianship will be transferred to someone who is lower than the brother. And we will study about the transfer of guardianship in the upcoming topics, inshallah. One of the conditions of becoming a guardian is he can neither be forced. Number one, guardian shouldn't be forced to marry someone to marry his daughter or his sister off to someone else. He should not be forced. He should do it willingly. These are the extra conditions of the guardians. When do you consider it as forced? And when do you consider it as not forced? Sometimes there will be some threats. If you do not marry, sometimes this is not a good example, but just try to make us understand. The wife tells the husband, I want you to marry my daughter off to this fulan. If you don't do, then I will divorce you. In the first place, is it possible for the wife to divorce the husband? So is it threatening? It's not threatening. Tamam. So there is no threat, and that is not considered as forced. But when it is considered as forced, force is considered when there is threat. What kind of threat? A threat which is possible to be done upon that person. An example, a small child come to the father and say, oh my father, if you don't, a small child maybe 4 or 5 years old, mashallah, comes to the father and say, oh my father, if you don't marry my sister off to this man, I will put you in jail. Now is it possible for the small child to put the father in jail? No. But an example, now there's someone comes from outside. Okay, maybe we say the communist. This always happen done by the communist. The communist will come and say, you marry your daughter off to this man, otherwise I will put you in jail or I will kill you. And he has weapons with him, and he is able to bring that man to the jail, or he is able to kill that man. Then that is considered as forced. Now if he is forced to carry out the marriage contract, is the marriage contract valid or not valid? The marriage contract is not valid. But if the small child, 4 or 5 years old, so-called forced the father to marry the sister off to someone, if he doesn't do that, the 4 or 5 years old child will put him in jail. Is it forced? No, it is not forced. So if he will carry out the marriage contract, the marriage contract is valid. The marriage contract is valid. Oh, I scared my child will be angry with me. Well, Sharia doesn't cover that matter. You deal with the child the way you have brought him or her up. That is why it's very important for us to give our child good upbringing. and we don't give too much children, mashallah. The Sharia says that number one, children is not mumayyiz as long they have not reached 7. As long they have not reached 7. What does mumayyiz mean? They don't know how to differentiate between what is good and what is bad properly. Sometimes they can differentiate something bad and good, something which is simple. Maybe there's fire, maybe there's food. Of course I will eat food, I will not eat fire. But to make decision for his life or her life, children, they cannot make good decision for their own life. That is why as long they are below 7, they are considered as not mumayyiz. Mumayyiz means a person who knows how to differentiate. That is why they are considered as mumayyiz. And why they are not given authority even over themselves as long they have not reached baligh. Because they are developing the capability of thinking, but they will not be able to think properly. They will not have the complete capable of thinking as long they have not reached puberty. That is why Sharia gives authority over to the father over the child as long as he or she has not reached puberty. So you shouldn't be threatened with your own child. One of the conditions of becoming a guardian is he can neither be forced nor, as how we have mentioned. If he is forced to carry out the marriage and the threat is valid, then the marriage will not be considered as valid if he doesn't want it to happen. If he wants it to happen, he said, khalas, since I'm forced, and I carry out the marriage, and my old daughter is also not married, and I also want this man to marry my daughter, so I'll marry her off to this man. Then the marriage contract is valid. Because why? Because there is not forced, there is being done willingly. Tamam. Rabbi ighfirli wa tub alayya innaka anta tawwabur rahim. Taib. Nor is he suffering from poor vision. Haram. Old people. Tamam. Due to old age, nor is he suffering from an impaired judgment. Number one, if the person has an impaired vision, he couldn't look properly at the bride, at the prospective bride or the prospective groom. And he couldn't look properly at the prospective groom. Tamam. And then he is supposed to be the guardian, but his vision is not clear at all. He couldn't see. Even after putting glasses, even after putting everything, he's still not able to see properly. Because in marriage, kafa'ah is very important. Suitability. When you cannot see, tamam, you are not able to distinguish whether this groom is, this prospective groom is suitable for the prospective bride, to the prospective bride or not. So that is why he cannot be the guardian if he is not able to see properly. Now the guardianship will be transferred to another person. Due to old age, nor is he suffering from an impaired judgment. A person who doesn't know how to judge, he can see clearly, but he doesn't know how to distinguish whether this person is suitable for this person or not. He's khabal. He said, this man, this woman, khalas, faddal. No problem. As long as he's a man, he's a lady, bismillah, marriage will be valid. People who have an impaired judgment, he couldn't decide properly. When you want to marry your daughter off to someone, or your sister off to someone, or whoever you are having the authority over her, you should look whether that man is suitable for her or not. And then you should advise her accordingly if it's according by her choice. If it's according by your choice, and you have the authority to marry her off, then it's something else. But if it's her choice, then you should tell her, this guy is not suitable for you because he's like this, like this, like this. Unless she said, no, I drop all that, marry me to that man, whatever it is. And then only the guardian is allowed to marry that prospective groom to that lady. Tamam? As long as she does not remove her suitability for a person, the guardian is not allowed to marry the prospective bride off to someone who's not suitable to her. As long as she does not remove her suitability to get married with someone, the guardian is not allowed to marry her off to that person if that person is not suitable for her. Okay, so this is very important. Look at all these kind of things. These are basic things we need to learn, because all of us will be fathers one day. All of us are brothers maybe of our sisters. If we don't know all these, then how are we going to carry out the marriage contract properly? That is why, never mind, maybe possible. A person will not everyone in this world is able to learn fiqh nikah. But at least the mutawalli uqud al-ankiyah, the one who is to carry out the marriage contract, he has to know about all this. And he has to discuss with the guardian about all these matters, so that the guardian will know whether he can marry this prospective bride off to that person or not. But now, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for protection from ignorance. Right? This person doesn't want to learn, but we will learn to protect the religion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah doesn't need us to protect the religion. Allah has promised to protect the religion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that his religion will reach every single houses, and it will be until the end of time. But we are honoring, if we learn and we try to preserve the Sharia, we are actually honoring ourselves to be amongst those people who are involved in trying to protect the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honors us. Rabbi ighfirli wa tub alayya innaka anta tawwabur rahim. Right? He also cannot be in a state of pilgrim sanctity, ihram. He cannot be a muhrim. Now something that we want to explain here. Sometimes people use the word muhrim and mahram. They just mix. Sometimes muhrim, sometimes mahram. He is not my muhrim. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Muhrim are only for those people who are doing hajj. They are in the ihram clothes. That is muhrim. Mahram are those people who you are not allowed to get married to. Regardless if it's for the ladies, men, and men for the ladies. That is mahram. I'm not allowed to get married to my mother, because why? She's my mahram. I'm not allowed to get married to my sister. Why? Because she's my mahram. I'm not allowed to get married to my breastfed sister. What is breastfed sister? Maybe some outsider, when she was small, my mom breastfed her. So she's my breastfed sister. I'm not allowed to get married to her because she's my mahram. She is not my muhrim. She is my mahram. So use these words properly. In Malaysia and Singapore, mashallah, people will mix. Sometimes muhrim, sometimes mahram. Mashallah. The saddest part is sometimes even religious teachers use such words not properly. I am really shocked sometimes. But what to do? This is akhir zaman. Ya'ummul jahl. Ignorance is really widespread. So we have to seek knowledge and try to learn how to do it. If we have done such thing before, you should know yourself. Then you should change from now. Before some knowledgeable people can detect that you are ignorant. So Rabbi ighfirli wa tub alayya innaka anta tawwabur rahim. The one who wants to get married cannot be in a state of ihram. He cannot be a muhrim, regardless if he's the guardian, regardless if he's the prospective bride, or regardless if she is the prospective bride, or regardless if he's the prospective groom. Tamam. For Hajj or Umrah or both. Sometimes you can do ihram for Umrah. Sometimes you can do ihram for Hajj. Sometimes you can do ihram for Hajj and Umrah. Tamam, which is known as Hajj Qiran. If you do Hajj Qiran, you are ihram in a state for both Hajj and Umrah. If you are doing Hajj Tamattu', there's two times you have to do ihram. One for the Hajj and another one for the Umrah. You begin with your Umrah first. if you do for Hajj Ifrat, you do your Ihram first for Hajj, and then secondly you do Ihram for your Umrah. And both are wajib in Islam. You have to do one Hajj and you have to do one Umrah. When we mention the fifth pillar of Islam, Hajj, it is not only Hajj, it's Hajj and Umrah. It is wajib upon you to do one time Hajj and one time Umrah. We have to do once Hajj and once Umrah. Rabbi ighfirli wa tub alayya innaka antat tawwabur rahim. Due to this reason, the person who is in the state of Ihram is not valid for him to marry off the prospective bride or be commissioned to be a guardian for others, even though the prospective bride's commissioner is not in Ihram. Now, you want to do wakil, you want to commission someone to carry out the marriage contract. Now, the prospective bride is in the state of Ihram, it's a muhrim, muhrimah. And the prospective groom is muhrim. The wali is also muhrim. He says, since all of us are having ihram, what should we do? Yallah, we commission someone to carry out the marriage contract for us. It's 9 Dhul Hijjah. It's the day of Arafah, filled with rahmah and blessings. Yallah. The marriage will not be valid. The marriage will not be valid. There's another practice which is done by Wallahu Alam. What we heard is done by some elderly Indonesians. They have a way practice. They consume their wife when they are in Mina, when they have not completely out of their ihram. When they are not completely out of their ihram. They say why? Because there's a lot of blessings here. All the people just finished Hajj. All of their sins are forgiven. My sin is forgiven. My wife's sin is forgiven. So we should come together and be together. No, it is not allowed. It is haram. And if you do it intentionally, knowing it that it will invalidate your Hajj, you have to do kafaratul uzma, and you have to qada your Hajj from the beginning. You have to restart, do your Hajj as soon as possible. So it's very important that we have knowledge before we do anything. Tamam. Wallahu a'lam about Singaporean or Malaysian or others, but this is what we heard from the scholars who experienced with the Indonesians. Tamam. We don't blame people just because they come from certain kind of country, but this is the result of what we say, result of ignorance. When you don't seek religious knowledge, or when you don't ask. An example, if let's say you don't seek religious knowledge, but at least you will ask that alim about his opinion or about the rulings of Sharia before you do something. But it is not easy for us just to simply ask and ask and ask again and again. You need to study Sharia. You need to understand yourself. So you are able to conduct, you are able to carry out the right conduct for yourself in whatever situation you will be in. Tamam? And at least you can teach others. This is something which is not right. And you will be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to teach people Sharia. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Ballighu anni walau ayah." Tamam? Deliver from me even though if it's one ayah. So it is very important for us to try to learn the Sharia so that we can help ourselves and we can help other people. Due to ihram, the guardianship is not transferred to the next guardian down the order, but is transferred to the ruler or the ruler's representative. Now, if the prospective groom is not in a state of ihram, he is not a muhrim, and the prospective bride is also not a muhrimah, but the guardian for the prospective bride is in a state of ihram. Maybe her father is doing Hajj. So what will happen? But now both of them want to carry out the marriage, and she has the father's blessing. The father said, "Carry on, my daughter." He's supposed to be the guardian to carry out the marriage contract between the daughter and the prospective groom, but he's in a state of ihram. So what he can do? So what will happen? the guardianship of marriage will be transferred to the ruler, not anyone after him, not his father, not his which is her grandfather, not his son, which could be her brother, or her brother from the same father but another mother, as how we have discussed before this. Tamam. Mentioning about the hierarchy, guardianship of the hierarchy level, as how we have discussed. Tamam. Some of the sisters, wallahu alam, tamam, she has done a good job in making a simple video on it. MashaAllah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give her reward for what she has done. And this kind of attitude shows that you take importance in what you are learning. This is very good. Our scholars, they like to see students come out with their own notes after attending a class. Because why? It shows that you take importance of what you are learning. It shows that you are doing revision. And it shows that you understand. If you don't understand, you're not able to do such thing. If you don't understand, you are not able to do such a thing. So, mashallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the good understanding of what we have learned here. Ameen, inshallah. And please do revision for what you have learned. Wallahu alam. This course might drag a little bit long. But wallahu alam, when are we going to do this course again? And I'm not even sure if there's such course happening in Singapore. Wallahu alam. Is there any ustad doing such course? Wallahu alam. Ustaz Shakir teaching Al-Miftah, LiBab An-Nikah, teaching this book. Oh, mashallah. Kat mana? Oh, Masjid Sultan, mashallah. But wallahu alam, what I can say is that it is not easy to find people to teach such thing. We know Ustaz Saleh also. He teaches 12-week marriage course. Mashallah. But that's more basic than what we are learning. We are really going into details and try to solve problems which we are facing. If there's anyone who is doing mashallah, then we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give a lot of people hidayah under his hand, so that people will be guided. People can know what Islam says about marriage and the rules and law of marriage. Now going back to iddah. Iddah for men. Is there iddah for men? Is there iddah for men? Now we mentioned there's iddah for ladies. MashaAllah, details, long story. Is there iddah for men? Yes, there's iddah for men. But it doesn't mean that the man cannot get married when his iddah is according to his wife's iddah. His iddah is according to his wife's iddah, which means as long as his wife's iddah has not been completed. Now if he has 4 wives, this is the only scenario which we can understand that he has to face difficulties through his iddah. He has 4 wives. Right. He divorced one of the wives. I'm not sure the first, second, third, fourth, Allah. But he divorced one of the wives. What will happen? The wife has to go through iddah, which is 3 pure cycle. It's easier for us to understand, is 3 menstrual cycle. She has to go through 3 menstrual cycle. So he is not allowed to get married to another lady until the wife which he has divorced has completed her iddah. Then only he is allowed to get married to another lady. Tamam. That is the iddah for men. That is the iddah for men. So we have to understand. Some people, I know personally, he has 4 wives, mashallah. But this 4th is always changing, up to 17 times. I'm not sure if he does observe the iddah or he does not observe the iddah. If he doesn't observe the iddah, what will happen? all his marriage, the fourth, he only changed the fourth. 1, 2, 3, mashallah. Tamam. But the fourth one he changed, mashallah. And there is such thing also as safih in marriage in Islam. When you do a lot of divorce, the judge will come and tell, it is also possible that the judge will come and say, you are barred from getting married again. Why? Because you divorced too much. And what is the reason of not, you are destroying people's dignity, and you're destroying ladies, in Islam they use, you destroying ladies' virginity, as if you are just using them. Therefore, the judge can decide to bar people from getting married again and again, because he go through too much divorce. Because why? It shows that he is the problem. It doesn't show that the ladies or the wives is saying, oh, ladies at this zaman, they are all tamam. I don't know what he's going to say. It doesn't show that ladies are having problem. Maybe 1, 2 ladies, yes, maybe problem. But now the one who is problematic is you. You can't even get along with any ladies. That means there's something with you, something wrong with you. There might be you are one person you are not able to get along with. Divorce, khalas. And then you get married to another one. It's fine. Maybe 1, 2, 3 times, maybe you will have to face divorce. And then only you will find someone who you are suitable with. Tamam? That does make sense. But going through 1 to 20 divorces, something which is not, something which is need to be controlled. What about Sayyidina Hassan? MashaAllah. Sayyidina Hassan, the son of Sayyidina Ali, he got married to more than 80 women. Until Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, he came to, there was once, he stood up on the mimbar. He said, oh people, I am prohibiting you from marrying my son with your daughters. Because why? Sayyidina Hassan, he doesn't really care whether he wants to get married to another one or not. But people, they want to marry their daughters off to Sayyidina Hassan. Why? They want to get the honor to be from the in-laws of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because whosoever married their children to the Ahlul Bayt, to the offsprings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they will be amongst the in-laws of those in-laws of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Taib. Now I am a father. I have a daughter. If I cannot be the in-laws of Rasulullah, at least I will let my daughter to be the in-laws of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they always marry Sayyidina Hassan with their daughters. Oh, marry, divorce. Until Sayyidina Ali said, oh people, I'm prohibiting you from marrying your daughters with my son. Sayyidina Hassan. Because why? Because he does too much divorce. And then they say, oh Sayyidina Ali, whatever you say, we're still going to marry our daughters off to your son. Because they want to get the honor from the in-laws of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then they continued marrying their daughters to Sayyidina Ali radiyallahu anhu. Tamam. Rabbi ighfirli wa tub alayya innaka antat tawwabur rahim.